in 2026, Archie and Lily are being sold. Archie and Lily are going to be front and center of this mission to try and save Harry and Meghan's career. Why else would they mention them in a report like this? They're 6 and 4, goddammit, and you said they were going to be private citizens. This is so Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's new tabloid war is heating up as they target the Daily Mail ahead of Prince Harry's, I believe, very unwise court case coming in just a few weeks' time. Jack Royston of Newsweek, close to the Sussex, has reported a source close to Meghan Markle saying his readers can judge for themselves whether publishing every intimate detail of an 81-year-old man's most serious medical issues and using that as a vehicle for a hit piece against his daughter simply because you dislike her is anything other than ethically bankrupt. But I would argue, and you know they're talking about Thomas Markle there, Thomas Markle, I would argue the only person in the Thomas Markle affair that is ethically bankrupt is his daughter. That to me is very clear. But what's interesting is when you look back and you think about everything we've known about Meghan Markle over the past 5 years. What about the court case that originally meant private emails and text messages sent by Meghan were made public? This was at the Court of Appeal, of course, and it showed that Meghan had intentionally phrased her first letter to Thomas Markle so that it would play well with the public in the event that it was leaked. She told Jason Knauf, now a senior aide to Prince William and Catherine, obviously everything I've drafted is with the understanding that it could be leaked. So I have been meticulous in my word choice, but please do let me know if anything stands out to you as a liability. She added, given I've only ever called him Daddy, it may make sense to open as such despite him being less than paternal. And in the unfortunate event that it leaked, it would pull at the heartstrings. So this is a woman who has strategically used her father throughout to try and pull at our heartstrings, yet now is suggesting that it is the Daily Mail that is ethically bankrupt. To look into this story, joined now by royal YouTube sensation according to Taz. Fascinating that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle continue to go down this path, even with everything that we have learned in regards to their own conduct, Tash, both with the Daily Mail and with the treatment of her father. Who's going to come out top here?
Honestly, it's I think it just makes Thomas Markle look better at this point because it shows that she's used her father to manipulate the public and it's just not washing this time. There were a lot of people that did side with Meghan originally thinking, oh, it's terrible what Thomas did. But now we've seen Meghan's true nature and her love of calling the paparazzi herself, the way he was treated. It just doesn't suit the crime, does it? He has been punished thoroughly by her and he's still being punished all of these years later. But for her to say about the Daily Mail are ethically bankrupt, she's morally bankrupt. And I think, I mean, we had a discussion not that long ago, Dan, with regards to this. She's accusing the Daily Mail of leaking every single step of the way, but it was actually Meghan that has given press releases every single step of the way. She was the one that released that she was giving him a letter, that she hand wrote a letter, the contents of the letter, when the letter had been delivered, what, the fact that her father hadn't contacted her after giving him the letter. This has all come from her team, from her spokesperson, from her sources. She is the one that has briefed the media. And to be making swipes again at Caroline Graham, who has been by her father's side, she was in bed, as it were. Well, probably not, but with Omid Scobie. I mean, she got him behind palace walls. He was inside, I think, Buckingham Palace for final events. She basically got him onto the royal rota, as it were. And, obviously to only write favorable things about her, but she really is a hypocrite. Both she and Harry are complete and utter hypocrites. But yeah, so using again her father's illness and everything that Thomas Markle has been through to further try and manipulate people, I can only imagine the things that she put in that letter. But yeah, total and utter hypocrisy from those two every time.
Couldn't agree more. And then, Tash, we received just before Christmas the word that Harry and Meghan are now going to expand Archewell. And I'm always suspicious about this, okay? But they're going to expand Archewell to bring the children into this, Archie and Lilibet. Now, I find this totally bizarre, given that I thought they wanted to keep the children out of the public eye. They're still incredibly young. They're private citizens who have no royal function, even though they keep their prince and princess title, they keep their place in the line of succession. So what on earth are you doing bringing them into your very PR-driven philanthropy? Well, I know it's to try and make them famous, isn't it? And the commercial ventures that are going to come off that. But let me just take you through this reporting. And why I'm choosing the People magazine report here, Tash, is because I want us to unpick the propaganda behind it, because we know that this is PR spin direct from Harry and Meghan to People magazine, who they use as their main form of paid PR. So let's look at the story now. Headline: Meghan Markle and Prince Harry rename Archewell Foundation as they expand their mission with Archie and Lilibet. A very quick but personal message from me to you to let you know that the best way you can support Dan Wootton Outspoken is to subscribe to my Substack at www.outspoken.live. Substack is a free speech platform that protects me from big tech cancellation and lawfare. Paid annual or monthly subscribers get an extra hour of content with the Royal Uncancelled After Show available every weekday with no advertising whatsoever. You can also message me direct on there. That's www.outspoken.live. I mean, Tash, I find it funny, by the way. Don't you imagine that Harry and Meghan probably right now are thinking, because they're so woke, oh God, it was terrible that we named this foundation after our son. You know, how are we going to bring Lily into it? But it's like, poor Lily, you got lumbered with the late Queen's nickname, something she didn't want. But anyway, let's keep going through this. And they say, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry ushering in a new chapter for their charitable work, one that includes their children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Well, surely the first question there is why? Why are you doing that, given you have been so public about not involving the children in your work? It goes on to say, on Friday, the December 19th, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex announced that their Archewell Foundation has been named Archewell Philanthropies as their organisation marks its 5th anniversary, a moment that the couple views as both a reflection on what they've built and a launch pad for what comes next. The organisation said in an announcement, the next chapter allows Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, Duke and Duchess of Sussex, to broaden their global philanthropic efforts as a family with meaningful reach and maximum impact, grounded in the same values, partnership, and their commitment to show up and do good. The couple also describes the evolution as a family effort, with the new structure creating space for their children, Archie 6 and Lilibet 4, to be part of the long-term philanthropic identity they're building. After the 5 beautiful years, the Archewell Foundation is becoming Archewell Philanthropies. The charitable entity allows the couple and their children to expand upon their global philanthropic endeavours as a family. But then you start working out what this is really about, Tash. I mean, let's not talk about them taking the children to the homeless shelter. This is where things get interesting. People understands, which means they've been told directly by Harry and Meghan, that Archewell Philanthropies will still operate within a non-profit structure, but now through a fiscal sponsorship model. Okay, it's making sense now. It's about the moolah. It always is about the greenback, isn't it? But then people immediately jumps into say a common setup that lets charitable projects grow more easily around the world. Under the new approach, an established 501c3 will oversee the administrative side, including compliance, finances, and global grant making. Harry and Meghan will continue to guide the mission itself, setting priorities and choosing the initiatives and partnerships they support. Tash, extraordinary. Extraordinary on so many levels that the year ends with Harry and Meghan saying, okay, the kids are coming, they are coming. Oh, but it's going to be for charity, but don't worry, we're actually going to introduce a fiscal sponsorship model. That's shameless.
I mean, the sponsorship model as well, the perfect timing, their children being a prince and princess. It is obviously all about getting attention and using the links to the royal family. There's nothing new there. That to me almost sounds like the Archewell is slowly wrapping up. They're now changing it to a different model where it's completely managed by other people, where they then add in, but Harry and Meghan will, of course, still have a little input to decide which direction they want it to go in. That to me, I'm reading that as perhaps Archewell hasn't been doing as great. We know that they have reshuffled their staff countless times. They can't afford the big players. And it just doesn't sound good that that organization is going forward. But then the fact that it's registered in Delaware, companies only have to declare 5% of donations that come into them. They can spend the rest on overheads. We know that Meghan will have rather large overheads, first class travel, first class accommodation, new wardrobe for every appearance. I'm in no doubts that that often gets recharged under expenses. But when it comes to the children, this is something, again, I find hypocritical with this couple. They're boxing their children into a lifestyle that's not their choice. They originally said they didn't want titles for their children. We know that that was a lie. They just weren't happy with Archie not being a prince. They tried to lie and manipulate people and made people believe it was because he was a biracial child. And it was just because he had to wait until King Charles became king and then he would be automatically entitled. But they are using the children in such a way that they are pushing them now into the public sphere. And they said that the reason that they didn't want them to have titles is so they wouldn't have the obligations. And, they can forge their own path in life. Harry and Meghan are always warbling on about forging their own paths. But quite clearly here, they're now forging the paths of their children. And we all know it's all going to boil down to commercial gain. It's not about protecting the children. It's now, I think, using the children for attention, for money, for extra links to the royal family. I mean, if they do take the dukedom off of Harry, will the king have enough strength in him to take the prince and princess titles off his grandchildren? Highly doubtful. So, of course, Meghan, I believe, is now going, right, we might lose our titles, but we need to now really use the children.
Totally. Totally right, Tash. That is the correct analysis. In 2026, Archie and Lily are being sold. Archie and Lily are going to be front and center of this mission to try and save Harry and Meghan's career. Why else would they mention them in a report like this? They're 6 and 4, goddammit, and you said they were going to be private citizens. This is so transparent, Tash. What
country that fought a war to abolish their links to the monarchy. So that's not going to help them growing up if they're ever allowed to go to a normal school, of course. But amongst their peers, they're always going to have that hanging over their head, as it were. As I said, at least we have titles in the UK. And if they'd have grown up with their cousins over here, it would have been quite the norm to hang around with other little prince and princesses and earls and ladies and dukes. But for them in America, they're going to be very much pushed out into in no man's land, really, with regards to that. I mean, we know that Meghan will insist that the children are called by their titles at all times. But yes, I think it's really sad that the way that Harry complained about absolutely everything to do with his childhood, but I believe that he's making decisions that are going to affect his children far worse than any decisions that Charles and Diana ever made. I mean, at least they had the support of an entire family network around them growing up in that royal sphere with cousins and siblings that all went through the same thing. Archie and Lily have got no one apart from their parents, and we know their parents are not about philanthropy, they're about topping up their bank accounts.
Totally. They are being raised in the same way that Michael Jackson raised Prince and Blanket. And it's weird because let's just think about this for 1 second. So they are now being used in Archewell's charitable report because let's be honest, the 5 years of Archewell has been a total disaster. They have made no impact on the world. Certainly haven't changed the world as Harry and Meghan promised that they were going to once they left the British royal family. So
No.
the kids are being dragged in to try and save this. But the kids aren't allowed to do any of the normal things that come with being a privileged family. They're not allowed to go and appear with Harry if he's playing polo somewhere, or go on a nice
Mm.
trip, or be on the Buckingham Palace balcony, meet the family at the palace, form the relationships with the cousins. And then I think about the biggest irony of it all, Tash, which is that Harry and Meghan have to keep their children as prisoners in the United States because they cannot control the paparazzi in the same way that in the United Kingdom, the paparazzi is completely controlled if you're a member of the royal family, which is why you never see the shots of of George and Louis and Charlotte on the way to school ever, because there are these rules. So
Mm.
Harry and Meghan have had to actually give their children a much more fucked up life in
Yeah.
California because of all of their weird issues with privacy than they ever would have had in the United Kingdom. Yet at the same time, it's like, we're not going to hide away from using the children when we need it. It's just so mucked up.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they went from, I mean, even at one point, I was actually thinking, well, Harry's been true to his word. We haven't seen the children, they haven't been used. And then in walks 2025, and bang. I mean, we've seen the children have been more exposed this year than ever before. There's been accidental, on purpose, I would say, leaks that have gone out with the pictures' faces. It was released. There was a perfect photograph of the children in Gloria Steinem's home that was just facing at the perfect angle for the photographs to be taken. Oh,
Oh,
look, there's
what a
Archie and
happy
Lily's real face.
coincidence.
I know, what a coincidence. Then you had the surf school as well. You know, Harry's there having pictures by the professional photographers that take photographs of people at these sort of places, you know, as a keepsake. That accidentally on purpose got released of Archie's face. And then, you know, there's a video clip, isn't there? A Halloween with them running around. It's all this accidentally. Oh, no, that wasn't meant to happen. Yes, it was. You've been gradually pushing the children out there, but never more than 2025. We've heard them singing, we've heard them talking, we've had them playing, we've had every photograph, well, the backs of their heads, the majority of it. But as I said, all you've got to do is to just go to Google. You can see what the children look like. Their images are out there. It's just Harry and Meghan haven't done the official press release yet.
Totally. It's so creepy. It is so creepy. And you're right.
Mercenary.
It started the year with Meghan when she was sent home from the Invictus Games. It started with her using the children there. And then it ends with them justifying the change to their charity on their children who are 4 and 6 years old. Totally
Yep.
weird. Now, look, Tash, in terms of the war with the media, it's not just Meghan Markle versus the Daily Mail, it's also Harry versus the Daily Mail. But honestly, if anyone's looked into this case, it is so unwise. This was the latest headline just before Christmas. Harry's legal team threatened private investigator and Daily Mail hacking case. Researcher wanted Glenn Mulcair, who denies tapping phones for the newspaper, to raise his game, the High Court hears. And here's the story. A private investigator who denied hacking phones for the Daily Mail received threats from the Duke of Sussex's legal team. The High Court has heard Prince Harry, Baroness Lawrence and Sir Elton John are among 7 claimants seeking damages over allegations that the newspaper's staff hired private investigators to place listening devices inside cars, blag private records and access private phone conversations. Associated Newspapers, the publisher of the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday, has described the allegations as lurid and simply preposterous. An email disclosed to the High Court on Thursday shows that Glenn Mulcair, a key figure in the phone hacking scandal that engulfed Rupert Murdoch's News Corp, received threats from researchers working for the legal team representing the Duke and others. Mr. Mulcair admitted hacking into the Mail on behalf of rival newspapers, but never for the Mail, one email showed. Graham Johnson, a convicted phone hacker and former tabloid reporter who has been working as a legal researcher for the claimants, wrote to colleagues in April 2016, "I'm trying to get Mulcair to raise his game, but he neither responds to threats or praise. I have bollocked him several times." Elsewhere, he added, "I do not think Glenn will jump through many more hoops for myself without an arrangement in place. Glenn is a person who is easily upset and is one of those buy-ups who will go offside at the drop of a hat. However, I think with more funding, I can do what you say." The emails refer to weekly money and threats. Financial backers of press reform, including Max Mosley, were seemingly kept abreast of developments. And as the Royal News Network surmised after reading that, so Harry's legal team was threatening a private investigator they wanted as a witness. Classy. If Harry wants to drive himself off the cliff, then he can do so, but the rest of the plaintiffs here should probably walk away. I mean, Tash, he is losing. And this is the problem when you go into bed with criminals. And I just really wish people would think more about that when Harry's talking about how he's holier than thou and he's trying to hold the British press to account. Harry, you are working with the actual criminals. I'm not exaggerating there, Tash. These are convicted phone hackers, the worst convicted phone hackers in British history. Those are the people you're relying on, Harry. And surprise, surprise, they're dodgy as hell.
Yeah, I mean that's saying that Graham Johnson he's been bullying people, threatening people, and bribing people to basically give what, false witness statements? Is this exactly what their case has been built on? Because it seems with the other person recently saying that his witness statement was a forgery, this whole case seems to be completely built on sand. But there seems to be an awful lot coming out, which could turn into a different sort of lawsuit. Who knows? Because there seems to be a lot of bribery that's been going on to get people to come forward, and of course, threats. Now, some could say it's Harry's legal team. He's not aware of the dirty tactics going on. But I've seen Harry, not personally, but we've read about Harry using dirty tactics himself. Because when the car chase, the near death experience happened in New York, the original letter that the police wrote said that they weren't concerned, that they were, that they weren't making any arrests. Harry's then written to them, threatening them to rewrite the letter to make it very clear that they will be making arrests, or he'll get Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, onto them. So Harry is definitely on board with these sort of tactics because he's used it against the New York Police Department. But it is shocking to think that here he is, holier than thou, preaching from his white tower to do with people's ethics. And he's involved with, to a degree, because I do not believe a lawyer would act without their client's consent, but tactics that are what? Pressuring false statements off of people. I mean, that's criminal in itself.
Well, it potentially is, and we will see. But this was a very, very unwise path for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to go down, because actually what it's doing, showing them up far more than the mainstream media. Tash, thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe to According to Taz.